morning, everybody, and happy Monday. Hope everybody's having a great day and had a great weekend. I know a lot of crazy things are going on. We're watching March Madness, seeing what's going on with that. Nothing too crazy going on, no upturns, so we'll see what happens. As far as it goes sales-wise, I know things have been, kind of picking up and doing a little bit of ebbs and flows. All these companies with the short-term rule are talking about all the different changes that they're making. And then I know with the Trump administration too, there's a few changes that are going to be coming up for us. I know especially in the major medical sector, as well as those updates in the short-term sector. A lot of the good companies out there where they're rolling out new products are keeping us on our toes. So expect a lot of company and product updates over these next few weeks. That being said, if we know we have a lot of things happening and a lot of things coming up, that we need to set ourselves goals so we can still keep our heads down and focus on what we need to. So I thought we'd start with obviously a good Zig Ziglar. We are all a fan of him. So goal properly set is halfway reached. So happy Motivation Monday, everybody. If this is your first Motivation Monday, this is what we do. We go through a tip of the week. We take a look at our sales trends. We take a look at who our sales leaders are. And of course, we're going to end in a sales technique, which will be a quick one this week, which is how to properly set a goal. The goal of these is to get you off the phone in 15 to 30 minutes so you can get back to selling and give you one or two pieces of information. They'll just help improve your sales process. If we take a look at the tip of the week for the previous week, it was really about Mutual of Omaha. It's, great Medicare supplements. We really hit hard with Medicare last year. If you are not contracted with MU, you're probably one of the 3 people out there that isn't. They have really good cancer, heart, stroke. It comes with income protection, helps with prescription drugs. Really good Medicare subs out there. One of the most lasting, strongest brands. So if you are not contracted with them, there is the agency services phone number there in the upper right hand side. The tip of the week for this week, one of the things that we're going through, waiting for all these companies to do changes, everyone's kind of holding their breath. So we thought we'd go through and just show you guys a few of the carriers that you may or may not be contracted with. A few weeks ago, Pivot Health absolutely blew up our sales here at AHCP. And I know that's one of the carriers that I wanted us to kind of go through and talk about. So Pivot Health, they have a really great short-term and they also have a really great fixed indemnity product. So one of the things I thought we would take a look at here for the Pivot Health, since they were one of the people who led here, would be the Pivot Health short-term here. So there are 5 different plans, they're fixed benefits. So they use the First Health Network here. There's 5 different plans available. A lot of them are those standard fixed benefits. So, the doctors, the hospitalization, the things that's going to make this plan different and why this has really been blowing up is that it offers 2 fixed benefit areas, one for wellness. If you don't know this, a lot of the fixed benefits either exclude wellness or don't have a separate category, so it's not a ton of pay for it. On top of that, it also helps with mental health, substance abuse benefits as well, which is a very, very, very common exclusion. So this one actually includes both of those, will give benefits for both of those, and it's one of the things that makes it strong. Pretty good sales map, as you can see there. Anything that has that Pivot Health blue is where the product is available. The 2 areas that I wish it had both in California and Florida, which it does not, but it's really strong there in Texas. So if you are licensed in Texas and pointed there, really great area. If you are not licensed in Texas, it's a state to take a look at. It's a really high sales volume state. So let's take a look at some of our trends. So as far as it goes, there were no changes in short-term medical. Funny enough, it is actually the exact same number app count as it was the week before. So literally no change. Leading there with that NatGen short-term. I know there may be some NatGen short-term updates coming up down the line. We've heard quite a few with that since they are going through and refiling the product. So hopefully they'll give some of the improvements that we've requested, as well as we did have an increase in fixed benefit sales there, leading with the VBA. The VBA, apparently it's very proper today. Decrease there in accidents. So yeah, Golden Rule and Plan Enhancer, again, those 2, that is mainly what we sell there. No change as far as it goes in critical illness, leading as usual with good old CBL. We love them. And then decrease in dental with NatGen. So that being said, 2 that had no change. Increase in fixed benefit is actually a rather large increase. And 2 decreases. So we're almost at a running rate, I'd say, until we start hitting the summer months. So that being said, we're not going to have too many crazy changes going on. For sales shoutouts, we did have some upturns in the limited benefits. So congratulations there, Robert. taking first there, so Robert Swander, Jerome taking in silver, and then Katya taking in bronze. So one of those things, hopefully that's a little motivation to get back up into the gold. And let's take a look at our next one here. So for short term, congratulations, Dustin. I've seen you just slowly chopping away and working your way up, but congratulations on getting that gold. Katya taking silver, and then Cody there taking bronze. So those are our sales winners for the week. Good job, everybody. And I thought now we could actually take some time and talk about goal setting. One of the things working in sales, everybody says it's very obvious. Obviously, I need to have my sales teams, all my members, we all have to have goals. I'll tell you one thing. So I've been working in sales training easily over the past 15 years in this sector, and I'll tell you one of the things that yes, people had goals, and if they did, they're usually poorly developed. And some people would say they actually had goals when they didn't. They were just these really extremely ineffective waste of times. Some of the people who are the most successful are people who actually have the goal set. And it is just proven, and we'll go through some numbers today, that those who have a properly set goal, as you can see on the screen, are just more successful than those that don't. I'll tell you one thing, I'm actually a huge fan of goals. I'm also a huge fan of lists. I know two things that are evil for most of us. I do to myself. That's one of the first things I take a look at when I'm working with salespeople is, hey, what is your goal? And they say, you know what, my goal is to go to XYZ. That's great. That is actually at the start of developing a goal. But what we need to do is actually get something that is tangible written down, just because it gives you that slight motivation to keep moving forward. I know a few weeks ago we had just a ton of people attend. How do I get myself working harder? That Motivation Monday that we did. This is one of the things we talked about. Have a goal set. So let's go through how to do it. One of my things is I want to see where people want to go. That is the biggest thing. I love to making sure that my sales agents, that all of us know exactly where we want to be, but then also how. We need to have the how and how they're planning on getting there. So first, let's look at some numbers. Keep in mind these numbers, if you've seen the study before, you may have. They're from an MBA graduating class at Harvard. So it is a common study here. So first off, it states that 83% of people have no goals. Interesting enough, out of that MBA Harvard graduating class, they have no goals. And these are people who are already extremely successful, obviously. They got into one of the top colleges in the world. How are you supposed to know where you're going, or at least plan for the future with no goals? I think you've heard me talk about this before, but I would compare goals to being a builder or an architect, right? So think about it as building a house. We all want to have that big house. We all want to be extremely successful. We all want to be completely comfortable for the future. That is the physical house. But if you give a builder no plans, yes, there will be a house. Don't get me wrong. Will it be the house that you wanted? Probably not. How long will it take? About 400 times longer. 14% of people have goals in their head, meaning that they have an idea where they want to go, right? So all of a sudden the architect says, hey, you know what? I want a blue house with shingles. The builder will build you a blue house with shingles. Don't get me wrong. So they have an idea of where they want to go and what they want to do. The people who keep goals in their head, they are 10 times more successful, which is mind-blowing, than people with no goals. Just by planning it out or just by thinking about it, they're 10 times more successful. So it starts showing the power for goals. Now we're talking about people who actually wrote goals down. They are 30 times more successful than people with no goals. 30. Think about that. So if you're sitting there with no goals right now, how much better could you be doing if you were 30 times more successful? Probably pretty well, right? So by having a well-developed plan on where they want to go and what they could be, they're 30 times more successful. But keep in mind, only 3% of people do it. So for that, one of the things they say is 42% of people will try to do goal setting. 42% of people will try to do goal setting, and over 70% of them will quit within 15 days. I hear this a lot when it comes to goal setting. People sit there and say, you know, I want to do goals. I want to do squats. I want to do push-ups. I want to make sure I'm running every day. And you know how many of those people quit? It's usually day 12. Day 12 is where people quit. This one, it says up to day 15. So it's more than just writing down a goal. There's also constant work that needs to be done on your goals. There's a quote from Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll that I think is one of the most accurate representations of why you should do goals. So Alice comes to a fork in the road. I think we all know the story, right? And they have no idea where the fork takes. So she encounters the Cheshire Cat, who asks Alice where she wants to end up. I don't know if you remember this from the movie or the book. And Alice answers that she has no idea where she's going, in which the Cheshire Cat replies, in that case, either fork will do. So think about that in the concept of a goal. So yeah, you know where you kind of want to be. She wants to go home, but you hit that fork in the road. What do I want to sell? How do I want to do it? If you don't know exactly what your endpoint is, it doesn't matter what road you really take. So how can you actually do that? So let's start diving into that. Okay, there are 5 steps in designing a goal, and if you want help with these 5 steps, I'll give you my email address at the end, and we can go through it. There are 5 steps, and something that you have to keep written down, as we saw before. So the 3% of the people who are actually successful write it down. My most successful agent, who I'll be working with tomorrow, he has his goals written down. He has been doing this for 12 years. He still has his goals written down to this day. He is doing fantastic. He just bought himself a new Mercedes with cash. Okay, he has his goals written down. He started from absolutely nothing. His house was going to be foreclosed on. And just by doing some simple things, he's really got himself up and going. Now, don't get me wrong, he has great work ethic. He is a very nice man. But one of the things I talked about is he says, I still write down my goals to this day. So first thing, you want to get specific about your goal setting if you want results. So you need to know the who, the what, the when, the where, why, right? So goal setting, do everything in present tense first off. So I want, I will, I am. And while doing that, you want to state it like you've already achieved it. So I will make $100,000. And keep in mind the why. What do you want to do with it? Do you want to go on vacation, pay down your bills, get that new car? What is it specifically? I'm always motivated by a vacation. I'm one of those people who loves to travel. So every time I set a goal, my financial goals will be vacation based to me. So if you throw out something like, I want to make more money, that's kind of useless. So you need to know exactly how much more. Where are you at now? So let's say you're making $70,000 and you really want to make that 120 next year. You want to know specifically how much. To be a good goal setting, you need to know what point B is. So if you want to go from point A to point B, you need to get to point B. If you do get to point B early, congratulations. You can always just set another goal, keep it positive, keep it attainable. This is something you're going to be looking at and adjusting if needed. So first off, that's one of the things people say, I write down this goal and I never attain it. That's okay. Goals are fluid. Like all things, you like the changes in the market, all you need to do is adjust. Okay, so the first off is they need to be specific. I already talked about what do you want to do? What are you going to do with it, right? So ours are going to be finance. Let's be honest, we're sales, finance. So it's what's the dollar amount and what are you going to do with that specific dollar amount? Second off, they have to be measurable. I love hearing this one, like I want to do better. My concept of better and your concept of better will be completely different. So they have to be measurable. So it's two-sided. Measurable is how much, but also you need to figure out what success is. So goals, we talked about we have to keep them specific. We need to keep it measurable. All goals need an action. And knowing that, yes, you want to make $100,000 is measurable, but also by doing the what. What will you do different to achieve that goal? Goal setting is not sure, hey, saying something, I want it. This is what I want. That's called wishing. It's about creating an action plan that you look at to get ahead. So you want to make $100,000 to help make money for that down payment on that new house by getting a new license in the state of Texas. By that, you're going to be getting 3 new sales a week. That is great. So you're going to get 3 new sales. So saying you're at 2 sales right now, or 2 customers a week, and you're going to add 3 more. That's great. What's your other action item? You're going to get licensed in the state of Texas. Well, that's great because what are you doing now? You're breaking down the goal and you're making it measurable, attainable chunks. If anybody has heard about this, so I have a friend who is the absolute queen of setting goals. She sets a new goal. There used to be weekly, now they're about monthly. And for some reason, she doesn't get why they stick. It's her final objective is always huge and she never breaks it down. It's either, I want to lose 30 pounds. It's not, how am I going to do it? Maybe it is sometimes like, hey, I'm going to do this diet, but then she rolls off the diet within the 12 days. There's not small attainable check-in chunks. So keep that in mind. One of these things that you have to do is you have to make them small, attainable check-ins. And what we mean by that is really actionable. So again, it's the action plan, the how and the dates. What are your small check-ins? And what are your marks that you want to do? Again, in the earlier goal I said by attaining a new state license and working with new prospects. This helped me create a mental picture. And I said 3 sales a week. That is my actionable point. Also relevant. I get it. This one may not be as pertinent, but it's relevant to you. If your goal doesn't hit home with you, why would you care? Right? So I keep saying, hey, I want to make $100,000. What if you don't? What happens if you just want to work with new customers in the Medicare sector because you're already financially happy with where you're at, but you want to challenge yourself and learn new products? That's completely fine. Make sure it is relevant to you. And the last one I think is particularly important here is that it's timed. So think about that. It has to be a time about what are your check-ins, what are your goals. So one of the things I've heard about in the past is that from extremely successful people is that they have a 1-year goal, a 3-year goal, and a 5-year goal. Keep that in mind, timed. So you can have different goals, multiples, but where do you want to be and when? Keep in mind, you can have an idea, where do you want to be by the end of the year? That one seems easy to me. That's the goal I would start setting today if you have not started setting goals. So if they're not specific, do that. If they're not measurable, make them measurable. If they're not actionable, well, you got to do that. Relevant to you and timed. So if your 1-year goal is to make that $100,000 to save for a down payment on your new house by the end of the year, and so by December, by getting that Texas license and expanding your potential client base, that's great as long as you have check-ins. So keep in mind that you're getting those 3 new clients that week. If your goal is 3 years to have 2 agents working under you, that's great. We can actually talk about recruiting on another date. By growing your business, by having enough residuals to spend time training. That's powerful. Again, make these goals specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, timed, which spells this little acronym, which I think is kind of goofy, SMART. So make your goals SMART that way. So we said these goals have to be written, right? Here's one of the things. So there's kind of a cross section with these goals. First off, they have to be written. Write it down and keep it close to where you work. This should be something that you can look at every day. If you work in your own office, that's awesome. Put them on the wall. One of the things that they say is if psychologists say that if you keep the goal specific to yourself, you're willing to work harder. So I know some people say, hey, go show your goal off. That's fine, but when you fail, it's going to be really easy just to take it down and pretend like it never happened. If you keep it to yourself, kind of keep it, this is what I want to do, you're better at holding yourself accountable than anybody else. Not saying don't share it with loved ones, not saying if your coworkers ask that you don't share it, but it's one of those things that when people set a goal, they make that SMART goal and all of a sudden they slightly fail, a lot of times what they do is they just eliminate the prospect of a goal. This is just a way for you to kind of keep it to yourself and also make it a visual. Most of us are visual learners, so if it's the new car, more money, nicer house, do that. Vacations. Remember a long time ago, I used to have the picture of Bora Bora. So like, where would I want to go? What's my ultimate vacation? Put it on my wall until I achieved it. The next picture, Madagascar. You put it on your wall until you can achieve it. I used to also make my backgrounds on my computer since we do travel a lot in our industry. And keep in mind that all these goals are adjustable. So you can make them adjustable if you need. So go through, make sure those goals are SMART, so specific, measurable, actionable, relevant. Those are the big ones, as well as timed. So make sure they are specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, timed, that you write them down, keep them kind of to yourself, make them pictures, and monitor and adjust as needed. No goals are going to be 100% permanent. If you have any questions or want to help with the goals, feel free to reach out there. You can always do the trainings on ahcpsales.com. If you have any questions on how to get up and running with any of those carriers that we went over as well, make sure to do that. So goals, begin with the end in mind. Break down that end and make sure that you know how to achieve it. Give your own little personal check-ins. If you need anything, reach out, training at ahcpsales.com. If not, I will see you next Monday.